Hello dear learners, a very warm welcome to this session on transfer of learning. In today's journey, we'll explore how knowledge and skills acquired in one context can be applied effectively in another. This concept is not only central to psychology and education, but also shapes how we adapt to real life challenges. As we move through the session, you will discover the meaning, theories, types, and practical implications of transfer of learning in education. Let us begin this exciting exploration together. Imagine learning how to ride a bicycle and later using that same balance and coordination to learn skateboarding. Or consider how reading skills enable us not only to appreciate literature but also to interpret instructions, analyze news articles, or write professional emails. This ability to take what we have learned in one situation and apply it effectively in another is known as transfer of learning. It's more than just a technical concept. It reflects how learning operates in a real life context. Transfer of learning bridges the gap between the classroom instruction and practical applications. It ensures that education extends beyond exams and textbooks, empowering learners to face real-world challenges. In a world of rapidly evolving information, the ability to transform learning is far more valuable than rote memorization. It nurtures learners into adaptive thinkers, effective problem solvers, and capable innovators. Let us move towards the meaning and concept of transfer of learning. There are two views regarding transfer of learning or training. There are some learning processes in which knowledge of one subject is applicable at another place in the same manner. For instance, the lessons which are taught to us in schools are used by us in other spheres of life. The knowledge of arithmetic which we gain in school is used in the same form in our life outside the school. Similarly, one who knows to ride a bicycle, drive a car, or fly an airplane may run, drive, or ride similar bicycle or cars, etc. Some processes in learning are such in which the acquired knowledge works at only one place and not at others. For example, those persons who played on a particular type of musical instrument experience difficulty in playing on another type of instrument. From the above, we conclude that in a learning process, the knowledge of a subject may be acquired in a certain form only. Some psychologists differ among us themselves in relation to transfer of training or learning. They hold the view that it is not possible to transfer the training from one subject to another. Various experiments have been performed on the subject. Let us have a look on a particular example in this regard. Two groups of students were formed in a school. The students of one group were taught useless words for half an hour for 15 days, and the students of the other group continued to study in the class as usual. After 15 days, when the memory of the two groups was tested, it was found that the memory of the students of the first group had increased a bit as compared to the students of the other group. But the increase was so insignificant that no importance was attached to it. However, it was felt that if some examination questions were given to the students of both groups, the second group, which regularly studied in the class, would have done better. This instance proves that acquiring the knowledge of each subject, it is necessary that the knowledge of that subject be acquired directly. Among the supporters of this view, Thorndike's name is worth mentioning. Other persons also support Thorndike in this respect. Many psychologists hold the view that the aim of studying different subjects should be to acquire complete knowledge of those subjects. The aim of learning should not be acquire disciplinary value of different subjects. It has now been ascertained that the transfer of training or learning is possible in some subjects and not in others. Now, in training, more importance is being attached to the theory of identical elements, because it has been found that concentration of attention is required in the learning of all the subjects, and each subject is related to the another as regards the use of common mental powers in learning a thing. Thorndike's opinion is that if two subjects are related, only then the transfer of training is possible. So, it's believed that transfer of training or learning is possible in case of identical elements only. Coming to the types of transfer, positive transfer, this occurs when prior learning enhances the ability to learn a new task. In such cases, earlier experiences make it easier to acquire new skills or solve problems in different situations. As a result, the learner performs more effectively than they would have without the prior knowledge. For instance, someone who plays football may find it easier to learn volleyball due to similarities in skills. Negative transfer. This type of transfer happens when previous learning interferes with the acquisition of a new skill. Instead of helping past experience make learning more difficult or slow down progress in the new task. The individual may perform worse than they would have without the earlier training. For example, someone trained in tennis might struggle to learn badminton due to difference in techniques. Zero transfer. In this case, earlier learning has no effect, positive or negative, on the new learning task. The prior experience neither supports nor obstructs performance in the new context. An example would be that learning fine arts has no impact, beneficial or detrimental, on learning to play a musical instrument. Near transfer. Near transfer happens when learning is applied to a new situation that is very similar to the original one. The tasks or environments share common elements, making it easier for the learner to apply previous knowledge or skills. For example, a student who has learned how to solve a math formula in class can successfully apply the same formula to solve similar problems in their textbooks. Far transfer. Far transfer occurs when knowledge or skills gained in one context are used in a very different or distant context. This type of transfer requires deeper understanding and flexible thinking. For instance, a person who has developed logical reasoning skills through playing chess may later apply that strategic thinking to make effective decisions in a business setting. Specific transfer. Specific transfer refers to the use of a particular skill or a method learned in one task when performing another task that is quite similar in structure or requirement. The transfer is based on the concrete, well-defined procedures. For example, a person who learns to type on a desktop computer can easily use the same typing skill on a laptop keyboard. General transfer. General transfer involves using general principles, problem-solving strategies, or cognitive skills acquired in one area across a wide variety of tasks or situations. This type of transfer is broader and less dependent on the similarity of the tasks. For example, a student trained in critical thinking during literature analysis may apply the same analytical approach when evaluating social issues or historical events. Now, let us discuss the theories related to the transfer of learning, starting with Thorndike's theory of identical elements. Edward L. Thorndike, an American psychologist, proposed one of the earliest and most influential theories of transfer, known as the theory of identical elements. According to Thorndike, the transfer of learning occurs when the original learning situation and the new learning task share common or identical elements. These elements can be in the form of content, procedure, skills, or environmental features. The greater the similarity between the two tasks, the more likely it is that learning will transfer from one context to the other. For example, a student who learns mathematical problem-solving strategies in class may be able to apply them to solve real-life budgeting problems if the underlying structure of the problem is similar. Thorndike emphasized practice in realistic settings to ensure effective transfer, thereby making his theory particularly relevant for vocational training and skill-based education. However, critics argue that the theory is limited in scope as it primarily accounts for surface level transfer and overlooks deeper cognitive and abstract learning processes. Generalization theory. Generalization theory, developed and supported by education psychologist Charles Judd, expands on the idea of transfer, focusing on the learner's ability to apply general principles across different situations. Unlike Thorndike, you'd believe that transfer does not depend solely on superficial similarities between tasks. Instead, it involves understanding underlying concepts or rules that can be applied in novel contexts. You'd illustrated this with an experiment in which students were taught how to shoot underwater targets. Those who understood the principle of light refraction performed better than those who simply practiced the skill. This shows that when learners grasp the deeper structure or principle behind a task, they can generalize and apply it more effectively. Generalization theory underscores the importance of conceptualized learning, encouraging educators to emphasize critical thinking, reasoning, and principle based instructions. It is especially relevant in science and mathematics education, where understanding fundamental laws or theories leads to broader application. Cognitive theory of transfer. The cognitive theory of transfer is grounded in the broader framework of cognitive psychology, and its central idea is that their organization, understanding, and meaningfulness of information significantly influence how well learning transfers to new situations. Prominent cognitive theorists such as Robert Gagne and David Ausubel contributed to this perspective. Gagne emphasized that importance of hierarchical learning structures suggests that new learning should build upon previously mastered prerequisites. Ausubel, on the other hand, introduced the idea of meaningful learning and advanced organizers which help learners connect new information to existing knowledge structures in memory. According to this theory, transfer is more likely when learners understand the material deeply and can retrieve and reorganize knowledge in response to different problems. Rather than rote memorization, cognitive theory supports strategies such as elaboration, analogy, categorization, and conceptual mapping. This theory provides strong support for the use of metacognitive strategies and reflective thinking to enhance transfer. Constructivist theory of transfer. The constructivist theory of transfer, supported by influential theorists such as Jean Piaget, Jerome Bruner, and Lev Vygotsky, posits that learners actively construct new knowledge based on their prior experiences. According to this perspective, transfer occurs when individuals are able to reinterpret and adapt their prior knowledge to the new and complex situations. Unlike theories that rely on passive reception of knowledge, constructivism views learning as an active, contextualized process that is influenced by the learner's background, culture, and cognitive development. Piaget emphasized developmental stages and the internal cognitive restructuring involved in learning, while Bruner advocated for discovery, learning, and scaffolding. Vygotsky introduced the concept of zone of proximal development, which explains how learning is mediated through social interaction and gradually internalized. From a constructivist standpoint, effective transfer involves not just repetition or similarity, but reflection, problem solving, and adaptive thinking. This theory encourages the design of rich, authentic learning experiences where students are challenging to apply their learning in dynamic real-world scenarios. Now, let us move to the factors affecting transfer of learning. Several variables influence whether and how well transfer happens. Similarity, identical elements. The greater the similarity between the learning situation and the transfer situation, the more likely transfer will occur. This is based on Thorndike's theory of identical elements. For example, skills learned in basketball transfer better to soccer than to swimming. Depth of learning, deeper learning involved understanding principles and concepts rather than rote memorization leads to better transfer. For instance, students who understand the underlying concepts of the algebra can apply them in multiple fields. Overlearning and practice. Repeated practice beyond initial mastery strengthens memory and skill, automatically making transfer easier. Motivation. A learner's desire and willingness to apply prior knowledge in a new context significantly affect transfer. Contextual similarity and cues. Environmental or situational factors that remind learners of the original learning context can facilitate transfer. Cognitive abilities. Higher order cognitive skills such as critical thinking, problem solving, and metacognition improve transfer. Teaching methods. Instructional approach that emphasize concept formation, use of multiple examples, and encourage active learning fosters transfer. Role of teacher in facilitating transfer of learning. Teachers play a vital role in encouraging transfer of learning. Connecting past and present learning helps students see links between what they know and what they are learning. Teachers should recognize that learning transfer is unlikely to occur when prior knowledge has no connection to new content. Therefore, it is essential to teach concepts in a comprehensive and meaningful manner, avoiding mere rote memorization. Students should be actively involved in learning by engaging in hands-on practice related to the topic being taught. Active participation enhances their ability to recall and apply the knowledge in different situations later. To facilitate the transfer of learning, educators should highlight how different topics and subjects are interconnected, emphasizing that these links help students apply knowledge across contexts. Cultivating a positive mindset towards learning tasks is crucial. When students develop interest and enthusiasm, they are more likely to engage with the material rather than resist it. Students tend to remember experiences that involve sensory engagement such as seeing, touching, or manipulating objects more effectively than abstract ones. Thus, teachers should integrate multisensory activities into their instruction to promote meaningful learning transfer. We'll be moving towards educational implications of transfer of learning. Understanding the nature of transfer of learning has significant implications for educational practice. Number one, curriculum design. Designing curriculum that emphasizes both fundamental knowledge and opportunities for application in diverse contexts, integrating real-world problem-solving tasks that require application of multiple skills and concepts. Instructional strategies, using strategies such as problem-based learning, case studies, and simulations that encourage active engagement and transferable skill development. Providing explicit connections between different subjects and real-world applications to enhance transfer. Assessment, assessing not only knowledge but also the ability to apply knowledge in novel situations. Using performance assessments, projects, and portfolios that require application of learning in varied contexts. Teacher professional development. Providing training and support for educators to understand and apply principles of transfer of learning in their teaching practices. Encouraging collaboration and reflection among teachers to share effective strategies for promoting transfer. Let us conclude that the concept of transfer of learning is fundamental to ensuring that education is meaningful, dynamic, and applicable beyond the confines of the classroom. It reflects the capacity of learners to apply previously acquired knowledge, skills, and attitudes to new and varied contexts. It is an ability that underpins lifelong learning and problem solving in the real world. Ultimately, fostering transfer of learning equips students not merely to succeed in academic tasks but to adapt and thrive in the complexities of real life challenges. It empowers learners to become critical thinkers, innovators, and capable citizens prepared for a rapidly evolving world. As we conclude this session, remember that transfer of learning is more than just a theoretical idea. It is the bridge that connects classroom instruction to life beyond it. By understanding and applying this concept, both teachers and the learners can make education more meaningful, relevant, and transformative. It encourages you to reflect on your own experiences of transfer and think about how you can consciously apply what you have learned in one sphere to solve the problem in another. Thank you for joining the session, and I look forward to your continued exploration of this fascinating field.